the penultimate weekend of Championship football. A lot could be settled this weekend. Let's get into it. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel and back to our weekly Championship score predictions. Like I said, it's the penultimate weekend of Championship football and a lot could be decided. We could have teams getting relegated this weekend and it's all still to play for. As always, get your score predictions in the comments down below and get yourself onto the prediction leaderboard. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, stick around for some regular Championship content and do check out the Patreon link down below. Obviously, we had the one Championship game going on in midweek. Here is how the main prediction league is currently looking heading into the penultimate weekend of Championship football. And I've managed to claw some ground back on some of you guys above me. I'm no longer in the relegation zone of the main prediction league. I'm 19th at the moment, but we've still got Championship Pro who is leading the way. This is how League 1 is currently looking. It's Connor Brown who is leading the way in this league. And then this is how League 2 is looking. Also very close in and around here at the moment. So do leave your score predictions down below. But without any further ado, guys, let's jump into this one. And so to kick things off, we have potentially the biggest game of the weekend. It's Sheffield Wednesday against Forest as an early kickoff at Hillsborough. Now, Sheffield Wednesday could be relegated this weekend or they could take a massive step towards safety. They're still relying on results above them, but they need to get their job done first against this Forest side, who will still be a tough nut to crack, albeit Forest don't have anything to play for at this point in the season. Their last game, they played out a 1-1 draw with Stoke. Typically, under Chris Hughton so far, they've not been conceding all too many goals, albeit they've not perhaps been the free scoring side that they perhaps want to develop themselves into. For Sheffield Wednesday, under Darren Moore so far, they have been averaging a lot more shots going forward. They've been a little bit more progressive, but defensively I still worry about them and those sort of vulnerabilities that they have at the back. Now, the situation that they find themselves in here is that if they win this game, they'll be 1 point behind Derby heading into the 3 PM kickoffs. But if Derby win at all this weekend, if Derby pick up 3 points against Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday will be relegated. So this here, I think, is a must-win for Wednesday. A point could be good enough to see them getting into the final day with them still having something to play for, but even then they're relying on a bit of a miracle with all the results above them going their way and a big twist on the final day of them beating Derby. So realistically, Wednesday need to win this game. They need to put absolutely everything into it, and to set up a dramatic final day finish, I'll just edge towards Wednesday here, but even then, they've been so inconsistent in these sort of crunch matches this season, haven't they? And Forest will still be tough to go up against. So I'll go 2-1 Wednesday, only just. FIFA's going 1-0 Forest. Next up then to St Andrews, we've got Birmingham going up against Cardiff. Now, Birmingham fans will be thankful that heading into the penultimate weekend and then the final weekend that they don't have anything to play for here. They're not in the relegation battle that we all thought they might be a few months ago when Aitor Karanka was on his way out. But yeah, real testament to the job that Lee Bowyer's doing, and they're finishing the season really strong. Birmingham now unbeaten in their last 6 matches. Cardiff also similarly don't have anything to play for. A little bit disappointing that they're not in the mix for the top 6 with a couple of games to go. They're unbeaten now in their last 4 matches, but they have been drawing quite a few games lately. The 2 informed players for each side at the moment seem to be their strikers. Djukovic and Kiefer Moore both bagged braces in the last game week to seal up the 3 points for each of their teams, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on in this game. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one heading towards a draw. There's not all too much on the line in terms of this game, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and FIFA is going to agree with me for that one. Next up then, we have Brentford going up against Watford. Obviously, these two sides and their fates have been sealed already. Brentford are destined for the playoffs and Watford back in the Premier League. Watford still could win the title, but it looks more than likely that Norwich will probably wrap that up probably this weekend, to be honest with you. So Brentford do have the opportunity here, if they win, to secure 3rd place for a 2nd consecutive season in the Championship. You know, theoretically, I suppose that gives you the easiest tie for the semi-finals, but yeah, who knows in that aspect really. Brentford actually really good last time out, getting that win against Bournemouth in quite a crunch match in their season. And Watford, to be honest with you, I didn't think they were the best against Millwall, but they got over the line in the end, didn't they? It was 1-0, but Millwall had quite a few chances going forward. I think that maybe with Watford being like high on the buzz of promotion and maybe not having their sights 100% set on this game, Brentford may be a little bit more focused, wanting to secure that 3rd place finish, but we may be getting into the part of the season now, especially with those sides who are guaranteed to be finishing in the playoffs come the end of the season, that a few players might be getting rested here and there in preparation for those games. Having said that, I'll back Brentford for this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side. FIFA's going 2-1 Watford. Next up we then go to Huddersfield up against Coventry. Now, mathematically, Huddersfield aren't yet safe. There are a few scenarios in which they could achieve safety this weekend. So if they win this weekend, they will be guaranteed survival. If Derby lose this weekend, or if Rotherham drop points. So there's a few scenarios here here where Huddersfield could find themselves safe. Mathematically at the moment they can only be caught by Rotherham and Derby, but it looks more than likely that last relegation spot is going to be between, you know, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham and Derby at the moment. So yeah, heading into this game, Coventry no longer having anything to play for. They've already guaranteed their survival. Last time out for Coventry, it was a 1-0 defeat against Preston. Not much in that game, to be honest with you. They had a few chances going forward, and I anticipate they'll have a few chances going forward in this game as well, because Huddersfield defensively last time out against Rovers were absolutely all over the place. They were awful, weren't they? They couldn't defend any sort of balls coming into the box. Schofield was a little bit weak for them, but wasn't helped out at all by his back line. They conceded 5 in that game. The only thing that Huddersfield have really got going for them now is Josh Koroma being back. I thought he looked quite good last time out. For a score prediction in this one, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going to go 1-0 Huddersfield. Once again, don't think there'll be all too much in that one. Next then we go to Luton up against Middlesbrough. Another game this weekend which literally has absolutely nothing riding on it. So, I mean, these sort of games are sort of like flipping a coin, to be honest with you. You know, you never really know how a team's going to turn up, how motivated they're going to be, if some players are going to, you know, come in for these final few matches or not. And so, yeah, teams on the beach at this time of the season is always a tough one to predict. Having said that, each side are not doing all too badly at the moment. Luton now unbeaten in their last 4. Middlesbrough have won their last 2 matches. And over the course of the season, really, we have seen quite the upturn in form from each of those sides. You know, we saw Luton last season, especially early on under Graham Jones, really struggling until the upturn of Nathan Jones. They went on to finish 19th last season, significantly better this season. You know, we've not even mentioned Luton in terms of them being in the relegation battle this season. And then Middlesbrough, who had a similarly quite disappointing year actually under Jonathan Woodgate that time around. They went on to finish 17th that season. This year have flirted with the playoffs, but ultimately just fallen shy of that in the end. They'll be looking to build on this heading into next season. For a score prediction, I'm going to go Luton in this one. You could really go either way. I'm going to go 2-1 Luton. FIFA's going 2-0 Borough. Next up then we head to the den. We got Millwall going up against Bristol City. Another game which has absolutely nothing riding on it this weekend. Interestingly enough, Bristol City did announce the other day the contract extension for manager Nigel Pearson. So despite this run that Bristol City are currently on, the people behind the scenes clearly are giving him the backing to turn this around and be the man for them, you know, long term. I think there are much deeper rooted issues at Bristol City than the manager. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do with a full sort of summer transfer window and heading into next season, how he's going to look to sort of remould this squad, because it certainly needs it at this point in time. Bristol City now 8 games without a win. They also had that collapse last time against Luton when they were 2-0 up. Millwall, they are without a win in their last 4 matches, but I thought they got very unlucky last time out against Watford, to be honest with you. I actually thought they played quite well and at least deserved a point from that game with some of the chances they had going forward. So with Bristol City and their sort of fragile nature at the moment, I'd like to say, I think I've got to back Millwall for this one. I'm going to go 2-0 to the home side. FIFA's gone 1-0 Bristol City. Next then we head to Carrow Road. We got Norwich going up against Reading. Reading obviously still with the disappointment of missing out on the top 6 with 2 games to go after being in there for, you know, the majority of the season. Even though looking back on this season in reflection, it has been a much more improved and balanced Reading side than what we've seen in recent years. The issue now is, can they build on this heading into next season, where we feel like there may be a bit of movement in the transfer window with this Reading squad. But yeah, nevertheless, Norwich can seal the championship title this weekend. There's a few scenarios in which that could happen, so a win for Norwich here would secure that, and if Watford drop points, that would also see Norwich win the title here, and I think they want to do that at Carrow Road, you know, in the penultimate game to this season. They can also beat their point tally from last time, which when they were promoted from the championship, so in their 18-19 season was it, they finished on 94 points, they're currently on 93, so had the opportunity here to go ahead and beat that one. Reading not particularly playing great at the moment, just 1 win in their last 9. I do see Norwich winning this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side, with FIFA saying 2-0 Reading. Next then we head to Deepdale. We got Preston going up against Barnsley, and you know what, I don't think there'll be all too much in this one. Since Frankie McAvoy has taken over the reins from Alex Neil, Preston haven't actually been all too bad, albeit we've not exactly been like a free scoring side going forward. We've at least been a lot harder to beat. You know, we've only lost 1 of the 6 games that Frankie McAvoy's been in charge for, and we have had some pretty tough games to play along the way. Barnsley also now have their playoff spot confirmed. The question is, do Barnsley still want to really go for these games to get a theoretically easier draw in the playoff semi-finals? I'm not so sure. So currently Bournemouth, Swansea and Barnsley are all tied on 77 points. So it'll be interesting to see once they do configure themselves over these next 2 game weeks who's going to be playing each other in the playoffs. For Barnsley, their last couple of games have been pretty tight. They've won them each by 1-0. In that game against Rotherham, we spoke about it quite a lot on the last championship roundup. I did think they got a little bit fortunate with that one, obviously with the goal they scored in the end and some of the chances that Rotherham had. So for a score prediction in this one, I'm going to back Northern to get a point from this one. I'm going to go 1-1. FIFA's going 1-0 Preston. Next up then to a big game in Rotherham season. It's Rotherham going up against Blackburn. Now Rotherham have been that side over these last few months who have sort of been like the wild card in the relegation picture because of the games in hand that they've had, but ultimately they failed to take advantage of them. They've now lost their last 5 games on the bounce, all by a 1-goal margin. So in the end, it's going to be such fine lines between Rotherham surviving or not. Ultimately, survival is no longer in their hands. They're 4 points off safety. They've still got 1 game in hand, which will be played over the midweek period. But yeah, not the greatest of times to be playing Blackburn, who seemingly clicked back up into gear last time against Huddersfield, putting 5 goals past them. They do have the pace to break on you. Obviously, Adam Armstrong scored a hat-trick last time out, so he'll be fancying adding a few goals to his tally for the rest of the season. It's still touch and go from what I've read whether Rotherham's goalkeeper, Victor Johansson, will be available for this weekend. Obviously, he went off in that Barnsley game with an injury. That Barnsley game, by the way, like we previously mentioned, I thought Rotherham got really unlucky in, but this is another game where I think they may just fail to capitalise on it. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn, with FIFA going 1-1. Next up, we then head to Stoke up against QPR. QPR have been a pretty entertaining side to watch lately, although their levels have been a little bit up and down. They've had a couple of tough matches lately. They won their last 2 away matches as well, so are on some decent form away from home and do continue to entertain and score some goals. Stoke, on the other hand, since the turn of the year really have been pretty poor, to be honest with you, especially since we were speaking about them, certainly in the first half of the season, being in contention for the top 6. They're actually in danger of finishing where they finished last season. They're only 2 places higher than their finish last season. You know, if they do finish in the bottom half of the table, quite a disappointing season there, given that their expectations at the start of the year and how well they actually started out there without a win now, Stoke, in their last 5 matches. QPR, good on the whole, but can drop the odd clanger here and there. I don't think there'll be all too much in this one, but I'm probably just edging to QPR. I'm going to go 1-0 to the away side, whereas FIFA's going 1-0 Stoke. Next up then, and to a huge game at the bottom of the Championship, it's Swansea going up against Derby. Now, should Derby win this game, that would relegate Sheffield Wednesday, regardless of whatever they do this weekend, and would be a massive stake to Derby's survival claim this season. Obviously, Rotherham may still be in the race, but depending on the results, could also be relegated if Derby win this weekend. Having said that, how likely is that at the moment? I'm not so sure. Derby have been absolutely woeful recently. That lack of goals has really been rearing its head once again, and to lose 5 successive Championship matches, Derby have crumbled. They've just been fortunate thus far that none of the teams below them have been able to take advantage of that poor run of form. Now, to be playing Swansea at this time of the season is also interesting. Swansea have their playoff place confirmed, and what seems to be the reports are that Swansea are going to be playing a bit of a weakened team for their next 2 matches. You know, they're going to be looking to rest a few players. AU, they're just going to want to put in Cotton Wool, as they're going to need him fit and firing for the playoffs. So this is a tough prediction to make without sort of seeing the Swansea lineup. I am going to go for a 1-1 draw and back the sort of drama to go into the final day. FIFA's going 1-0 Swansea. Derby really need to get anything out of this game here, don't they? And then for our final matchup, we got Wycombe going up against Bournemouth. Wycombe at this point all but relegated, probably going to be confirmed with this weekend's matches. Bournemouth, nothing to play for at this point onwards, just looking for the highest finish as possible, heading into the playoffs to theoretically get, I suppose, the easiest tie as possible. And I don't think that Wycombe will make it easy for this one, even with their fate almost being sealed for this season. They've sort of had that never say die attitude that's especially been apparent in this second half of the season under Ainsworth, and it was something we actually gave him credit for on the channel last week. You know, despite the situation that Wycombe find themselves in, having been sort of like bottom of the Championship for the majority of the season, he's never sort of let that negativity breed to within the squad. You know, he always very much keeps his head up, and there's always seen, you know, Wycombe as the underdogs this season, which they, you know, quite rightly were. For a score prediction in this one, I probably do see Bournemouth getting through it and having a bit too much for Wycombe. You'd think that they want to put that loss they got last time to Brentford behind them and head into the top 6 playoffs with as much momentum as possible. So for a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth in this game. FIFA's going 2-0 Bournemouth. But guys, there we have it. Those are my predictions for I see happening over this weekend. Do leave your thoughts and predictions in the comments down below. Obviously, quite a few implications at the bottom of the championship. Most things at the top are now signed off and secured, but at the bottom and with that last relegation spot, still got everything to play for. As always guys, if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Do stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular championship content as well. But apart from that, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.